يمكنك أن تتخيل مع كل الأعمال البحثية التي تجرى هنا يومياً أن يزور هذه المنشأة العلمية أكثر من 3 ملايين سائح وسائحة في كل عام. لكن تثقيف عامة الناس بقضايا المناخ هو هدف شديد الأهمية بالنسبة لبايوسفير2.
The University of Arizona assumed ownership of Biosfér2 almost 13 years ago. And the way in which they're using it is a large Earth and Environmental Science research laboratory. The most serious issue that's facing our future is not understanding fully the implications of global climate. We know the climate is changing. We know in many cases that our interactions are changing the environments and the conditions, not only that we live among, but also things that are happening globally. And so being able to predict and understand what those are is critical. Because again, I can't say it enough, that if we don't know what's coming our way, if we can't adapt, we're not going to be able to survive. And the only way that we're going to be able to adapt is to be able to better understand the current state of those systems and how those systems are responding to changes that we see. These facilities are crucial. A place like Biosfér2 is unlike anything else in the world, and it gives us a really unique opportunity to better understand complex Earth systems, but in a way that we can actually leverage it. And it's that understanding that's not going to just benefit the researchers here at Biosfér2, but it's also going to benefit researchers around the world because we share our information. We're hoping that people can take that information and apply it to their specific studies to further expand their knowledge and understanding. And the only way that we begin to try to better understand some of those systems is to do experiments and to do experiments and to do experiments. We have to repeat those things because it does change. And as complex as Earth is, we've only scratched the surface of understanding it.
So John, it's clear that water is a very pronounced and present component in your research here. Like you have the ocean, you have the rainforest, like it is like everywhere. And it is at the same time one of the most important source of life for our planet. Tell me, how does it resonate with your research, with your work here in Biosphere? What is it so important about water that we need to know?
I mean, you're right. Water is the foundation for life. It's, we refer to it as the universal solvent. It's, in my opinion, and a lot of the folks that I work with, is that global climate change is going to impact the presence or absence of water probably far greater than any other resource. And so understanding its behavior, how changes in its presence or absence is going to in turn change the behavior of an entire ecosystem is critical. Because when we think about it and we start to look at conditions in different parts of the world, we either have too much water or we have too little water. It never seems like there's sort of just that optimal amount. Understanding the behavior of water, especially subsurfacely, is critical. That's why we built LEO. As the landscape around us changes, as we see vegetation changes, how does that change then the dynamics of the water cycle? And again, it's not above the surface. It's pretty easy to observe, measure what's happening above the surface. But when it goes below the surface, it is still very much that black box for scientists. They just don't know really what's going on. They've got ideas and we're continuing to learn, but we want to know more.
سنحاول الآن أن نعرف أين تذهب المياه عندما تمطر. قام العلماء ببناء تشكيلة ضخمة من مساحات التربة الاصطناعية لتساعدهم في الإجابة على هذا السؤال الصعب. دعونا نلتقي بالباحث إيرين بوجي. Hi, Aaron.
Hey.
I'm Tony.
Tony, Aaron,
So nice to meet you. I heard you're working on a very special project here.
We are. So this is called the Landscape Evolution Observatory, and what we're really doing here is tracking where the water goes. Now, we love to study the invisible processes of water. We often think about water as falling as rain, but once it leaves that visible puddle that we can see on the ground, it doesn't just disappear, it goes somewhere.
And why do we need to know where it doesn't go?
We know that we're running out, in some cases, of drinking water. We're running out of land that's viable for plants and crops. So understanding why water goes where it goes and some of those systems as to how it is stored, that's important for us looking into the future.
What is it exactly that's what we see in front of us?
Yeah, we've designed an artificial landscape. We've built a landscape from the ground up. We embedded it with lots of sensors that can tell us information about where the water is in the ground. And then we create our own rain events. So we have sprinkler systems all up and down the sides of the slopes. We rain water that mimics what real rain does. It's the same velocity, it feels like rain. That water lands on the landscape and we track that water as it moves through the soil.